Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. Today, I want to take a look in this video, not at a current event, so much as a current situation. And it's specific to the United States only because I'm not aware of entertainment and advertising trends in other countries. I was blessed yesterday to read a discussion on an alt media discussion board about the out of proportion representation in our entertainment industry and commercials of the diverse members of our population. And I first of all, I loved reading this discussion because there was more than one group represented. There was a very intelligent contribution made by one of the Black Anons, and in fact, a couple of them. And it was really interesting to read. Now, that's why I thought we could address this in video, because we know that there are some agendas going on in our world that are designed to do some cultural and social system molding. And one of those strong tools for that is the media, our print media to some extent and our visual media to a great extent. Now, personally, the first time I saw diversity in advertising that I can remember was in 1971. And I've got a link to it in my compilation, when Coca-Cola did their commercial of "I'd like to teach the world to sing." And it's still, I'm not a fan of the product per se, but I still think the song was beautifully done. And there was a real honest effort in that video to represent a lot of diversity in our world. And I liked that. Most families today do have diversity in their members. My family's no exception. And I was told that growing up, that I have about an Elizabeth Warren amount of native blood in me, that we took some pride in. We did, because my great-great-grandfather had married a lady who was half Sioux and half French. Her father had been a trapper, so we could trace back that far to days when our country was pretty young. And I do believe we're one human race, that the divisions were taught, and we are taught to notice, of gender, identity, culture, race, all sorts of things are done to separate us. And at the core of it, we need to be in love and light and acceptance of one another as fellow human beings. Because I'm sure there are some off-world galactic energies that are just scratching their head going, what are they doing? They're all human. Why do they see themselves as so different from one another? In other words, we need to look at it. We need to appreciate the things that make us different, but also respect all that brings us together as one human race. That's the Laura's View part of this. Now, in that discussion yesterday, it was really interesting. They were speculating on what the agenda was behind the disproportionate representation of, ethnicities and races in the entertainment and advertising world. I'm going to take you to a compilation I've got. As always, this compilation will have, there'll be a link to it in my video description box, or you can just listen and follow along and note where I'm talking about. I went with the numerous sources gathering this information, and then we're going to use the cards to see if we can close in on more of what the true agenda is going on behind this forced diversity that we're seeing in our entertainment and advertising industry. One second. Okay, so when I started this was interesting. I went and did a Brave search simply because that's the search engine I usually use. And I searched for Black couples, and here are the first 10 photos it showed today with no editing done. And they are indeed Black couples. There's one that's mixed race, but 90% of them are Black couples. Then I did the same search for white couples. Here's the first 10 photos, no editing. And there's only 1%, well, 10% of them that seem to be Caucasian or white. Okay, the rest of them are mixed race to some extent. Oh, pardon me. So there's 20%. Okay, quite a difference. Now, this isn't a new thing to notice. I saw that back in 2019, Google put out an explanation for why this happens. Okay, and it just says that the tags on photos often don't specify white or Caucasian when the couple's white or Caucasian, but does when they're mixed race. Now, this was a good article done by Zia Mohammed back in 2019. I'm scrolling, so if that bothers you, look away, okay? Now, in 2019, the takeaway was Google's image search might need to be revamped. They've had 4 years to revamp their search. In 2023, we're still getting the same sort of results. This tells me that for whatever reason, this not altering their algorithms and having their search results change means that it's actually what they want to have show up. Then I went to some census facts and I looked for some pie charts about what our actual fairly close to recent representation is of the ethnic makeup of the US, okay? In 2021, okay, we have, I'm gonna round up, 60% are Caucasian, 13% are Black, okay? The 19% are Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders, non-Hispanic. And then let's see, the other big one was Asian, is 6%. So those are the 4 major groups here, right? And that was from the Census Bureau. I wanted, like I said, to have some real, not just opinion pieces, but some real facts at our hands here. Now, I'm going to reference an article here in a site I had never visited before, and I'm not 100% endorsing the article, but the author had some good points to make and some that I didn't totally agree with, and I'm not going to specify which it was, but here it is, because they were talking specifically about the forced diversity in TV commercials, and that aligned with my topic very nicely. Okay. Now, here's a couple comments that were made within that article. Okay. In the article, it said, because if brands and advertisers really cared about diversity and inclusivity and representing all races and cultures equitably, then they would put an honest effort into giving everyone their fair shake, and especially into recognizing and respecting the differences in our cultures while bringing us together in our love for their brands. I thought that was a beautiful sentence right there at the end. Okay. I really did. And I thought it was true. The author does a very nice job of mentioning how, while they show Blacks as successful in advertising, they are not culturally diverse in that. It's like they're trying to homogenize them into Brooks Brothers suits and polo shirts and what have you. And another comment that was made by the author, this was in the comments, this is a portion of it, I didn't take it out of context, I just took the relevant section, okay? It's possible people in general are seeing through the absurdity of over and under representation and are able to laugh about it. I'm not so sure. I think there may be something more nefarious at work than just woke politics and virtue signaling. If so, then it's no laughing matter. Now, as I was doing my research, and the final link was to that commercial I mentioned. So I was doing my research. I noticed that in the advertising world, they're getting a payoff for, and I'm saying, you know, their objectives are being met. When they show disparity in their ethnicity offerings, they still have a bump in sales. It could be just as simple as they're not trying to represent the general population as much as they're trying to represent their viewing population, because it's the viewers that bump up the sales. It could be that simple. But one of the speculations on the discussion board I had was, one of the speculations included the fact that besides social engineering, the deep state and cabal would like us all, first of all, to be at odds with one another, to make victimhood universal rather than, minority specific. And I speak of minority not as race, but as a percentage of the population. And that there's a possibility that what they're trying to do is goad the 60%, the white portion of the population, into actions that would make them able to claim that there was a return to the Jim Crow era, and then put more controls and lockdowns and things like that on the population, and then advocate for things like 15-minute cities for our safety and what have you. All of that kind of resonated with me. So let's ask the universe, though, what is going on with this forced diversity agenda in advertising and entertainment? If we could have some enlightenment and insights, it would be greatly appreciated. So, and this is current and this timeline. Want to be really specific for the answers we'll get from the universe. Okay, let's find out together what the universe wants us to know about what the true agenda is, or agendas are, to the forced diversity in advertising and entertainment. I'm anxious to see what results we get here. I think it'll be interesting. I do think there's an agenda, or possibly more than one, but I don't claim to know what they are. So again, we're looking at the agenda or agendas for this timeline currently operating in our entertainment and advertising industries. And it may be as simple as they're not trying to represent the general population as much as they are their viewing population. That would be the least concerning of the options we'd be looking at. All right, let's see what our cards are. We have Strength, Queen of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, Nine of Cups, the Emperor, and the Three of Pentacles. What I'll do is talk with you about the insights I'm getting from the cards as we see them so far, and then we'll look at the elements of those cards that lead me to say this. Okay, now I'm not yet getting any insights that there's truly nefarious agendas going on, other than those we've spoken about. Okay, that doesn't mean they're not there. It just means that the cards, what I'm getting from them is, first of all, that no matter what they're trying to do, we are reacting in appropriate ways. There have been times lately that people have chosen to boycott a product or service, and that is absolutely their right to do. We've seen a huge surge in people knowing that there is strength in their withholding their buying choices based on whether they've been offended or not in agreement with the priorities of a company, and that's their right to do. So what I'm saying is, I think if we had asked this question 6 months ago, we might have gotten a different response than we're getting. What we're getting is we were asking about agendas, and I'm kind of getting it that doesn't really matter, because we are embracing our strength as consumers and as logical thinking adults well enough that no matter what their agendas are, it's not working out for them. In the past, it paid off really, really well. It did. And again, what they were doing is, when they see a bump in their sales based on an advertising campaign, they double down on it. So they weren't trying to represent the general population, but more they're viewing, and it paid off for them, but it's not paying off now. So many people, and I'm not just talking about whites, but so many people are turning off and turning away from, and I saw this with the discussion I was reading yesterday. Every race that was represented in that discussion was talking about how they no longer interact with mainstream media and entertainment and advertising options very often. Very much. We've chosen to go our own way and think for ourselves a lot, which is part of our growth process as a race and highly needed. Okay, let's look ahead at the near future. Looking good, guys. No matter what they try to say is happening in America, people are turning away from it. No matter what they try to claim is the diversity makeup of our world, people are again going to the source of we are human. We're not this and this and this. We're not going to be in little clumps and groups anymore. We're a human race, and every human is worthy of courtesy, respect if they earn it, courtesy no matter what, and love and kindness. Okay, and because of that, the future's looking pretty good here. All right, this is my 90% satisfaction card. There's not much other way to read this, okay? In other words, we're getting told, doesn't matter what they're doing, keep doing what you're doing, okay? They're going to continue to push out their dribble and try to do social engineering, but keep doing what you are doing and go your own way, all right? We got the insights cards here, really, really powerful and nice. Got the Emperor on this side. My white hat card, okay, kind of almost my top white hat card. It's often a Mr. T card, but Mr. T is not really relevant to this situation other than just as a fellow human being who's caught up in these dynamics and on this timeline. And then we have the Three of Pentacles here, which is a firm foundations, a good agreement and working together. So again, we're getting some nods here to this, and the fact that we're going our own way. I think what we need to do though is more people need to put less emphasis on social status, which is a huge thing that's sold through all of advertising and in the media. And we need to rethink what social status is. We really, really do, because it's shockingly superficial right now, brand oriented, things like that. It doesn't have as much to do with ethics and kindness and good traits that humans should embody and value. So we need to keep going our own way and embrace those values and concepts. All right, and virtues. Let's see, we got the Magician. Again, we can manifest what we want. We can't maybe manifest a change till we have some huge world changes in how the media spins things, but we can manifest the change we want to see. And part of that is choosing what we accept, what we reject, what we no longer make room in our life for, and realigning our priorities and values. Okay, and this card almost always talks about how the truth is there for us to see. We just have to be willing to look. She is willingly waiting here, and this card again is about the path is really, really clear. You just have to be willing to look. I'm going to get two more cards to see what we have. Got a celebration card with the 10 of Pentacles and the 4 of Pentacles. So what we're getting here is a celebration card, okay? And often this is a card of physical, tangible things. So those are our assets that are like gold, silver, real estate, things like that. And this is, again, we've been talking about manifesting and using our judgment wisely. So what I'm seeing is the cards really don't want to talk about what the agendas are behind this, other than to give us some advice to keep going our own way, to keep thinking for ourselves, to reject the subtle and often not so subtle message in advertising that social status is the only status to value. And don't worry about virtues, don't worry about values, worry about your social status. And we need to keep doing that and be careful with our resources. We are seeing a lot of success in manifesting change by saying, this brand doesn't speak to me anymore. I can do without it. So continue to do that. So let's recap. We looked at advertising and entertainment and how the forced diversity and the disproportionate in relation to the general population of ethnicities and cultures that's represented in our entertainment, just what's going on with that. It's been talked about for years. And for example, Google has had an opportunity to work on their algorithms and clean things up and haven't bothered to. So obviously whatever's going on is working for them. What is it? Now, one of the things I saw in my research was that, again, advertising is seeing that when they, I don't want to say pander, but it really is kind of pandering, that when they represent certain groups that might have formerly felt disenfranchised, they see a bump in sales, and that tells them their campaign is working. So they are not motivated to have any kind of a truly general population representation in what they offer and how they choose and cast for their entertainment items and for advertising. So that was kind of interesting. Well, the universe chose to speak to us, to we the consumers, to we the people, and say, you're stronger than you know. You absolutely are. You're bigger than what they're trying to box you into. Keep it up. Keep it up. Queen of Swords is very truthful. She's a swords are thoughts and words, written and spoken. So the power of the media is on the wane. And what I kept getting from the cards was it really doesn't matter what their agendas are. If you don't buy into them, it don't matter. And don't was deliberately ungrammatical. Okay. Recent past, it paid off for them. Again, what they were doing when they weren't, they being the entertainment industry and the advertising industry, when they weren't listening to directions from above, BlackRock, Vanguard, on social engineering, they were just simply going with what paid off. And what paid off was looking at their viewership and gearing items for them. The nod here in our present situation card is to continue doing what we're doing. Turn off that mainstream media. Don't let them engineer your worldview acceptance into anything but a path that you choose, values and virtues that you choose to value. Don't let yourself continue to go your own way. Near future. Going to be happy if we continue that path of thinking for ourselves, valuing our fellow man and woman as a member of the same human race, same human family, and getting rid of those boxes and subgroups and sub divisions, things that divide us. We're going to be really happy if we do. It's the way to go. The advice and insight card, Emperor, in other words, White Hat's Alliance, this is all, that's why they're not too worried about what's happening with the forced diversity. Okay, they know that many of us have grown beyond it. Once again, the deep state, the cabal, are using tactics that formerly worked and no longer work because they're not adapting to the changes that we are embracing and the values that we are discovering and honoring and acquiring. And that acquisition of values and virtues and thinking for ourselves is a firm foundation for us to move forward, and moving forward in a good way and in a path that is race directed, the human race directs, not outside forces that try to box us in and separate us and keep us powerless and separate. The foundations have been well laid for that. The additional insights card. Okay, the first two were these. Magician, ultimate manifester. Ultimate manifester. Okay, we have the power to manifest what we want. Okay, in other words, render irrelevant the casting choices that we see in entertainment and advertising. they are, continue to make them, and even make them even less relevant than they currently are. And the way forward is always available for us to see if we're willing to look. Okay. And in some cases, not look. I haven't seen an advertisement. I think that Coke advertisement I reviewed today was the first thing I've looked at in years and years and years. Because if I do watch a show, it's streamed with no commercials in it. And then celebration, okay, and a card reminding us to power of being careful with our resources and putting our money where our values are. Shop local, shop small, live smaller. Okay, we don't need a lot of stuff to have a great life. Okay, all right, so that's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time, your attention, your viewership, for being here. I am so glad that you chose to be alive at this time when I did, so that we could, at least in this venue, meet and support one another and just enjoy ride, because life is meant to be enjoyed. It truly is. And I hope you have joy in your life, and smiles and laughter. And to that end, until next time, I wish you love and light and everything bright. Bye.